MBA program where she did her thesis on Russian e-procurement. So you're very welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I would like to make a little notice that all the views that I present belong to myself. And some of my views probably will not coincide with my employer. But today I will be presenting Sberbank ST, which is the electronic trading platform, which actually is a tool which performs procurement in Russia. Probably you know that Sberbank is one of the largest banks in Russia, and this is a 100% subsidiary of the bank. So as for the regulation of public procurement in Russia, so there's a law which came into force in 2005 where the reform of public procurement in Russia started, and it changes greatly. Obviously, so who is involved in the regulation of the procurement process is the procurement entities, municipal procurement entities, other organizations financed from the state budget, authorized bodies which can perform procurement on behalf of the state-owned enterprises, etc., etc., and obviously the regulators. This is the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service and the Ministry of Economic Development. They're responsible for the regulation. At the moment, the reform is going further and further, and the law 94, federal law, is basically dedicated to the placement of the public procurement. At the moment, the reform goes further, and the other stages as planning and fulfillment and control of the fulfillment of the contract is included in the law, and it is just being done right now. So we can see that the regulation of procurement process in Russia consists of several pillars. So the main thing is the law defines strict regime, how we have to perform the procurement placement and how we have to do it. It includes the notice on procurement, the procedure as well, how to do the bidding application correctly, and how we determine the bidder. Then the condition of procurement cannot include those clauses which limit competition. So we have to follow the main principles of good procurement, which is fairness, openness. So it's very much like what Ron said. And in a way, I would say that we are going somehow on a path that South Africa is implementing. We are doing somehow standardizing of the processes so that everything is clear, everything is understandable, and you know the rules. There are the rules. If you want to play the game, do it. If you don't want, just wait for the rules to change or try to change yourself. Because the country, maybe the South Africa is a bit smaller country, but the Russia is really a very large country. And we have really 9 time zones, and some districts are really somewhere far, far away. But every person, even from some Far East, can participate electronically in procurement, which takes place anywhere. So if you decide you want to do it, you do it. It is open to you. It's fair and open. Then, so who is included in the public procurement process? All state and municipal bodies. They have the right to conduct placement procedures. Some authorized bodies, they do not place the orders. They do it on behalf of the procurement entities, which is state enterprises. Then there are 2 levels, municipal level and governmental level, and they can do as well. So who can participate as a supplier in the procurement? Anyone, any physical person, registered as a supplier, or any legal entity can participate without any limitation. And there are unified conditions for participation. So we are after openness of the procedure. So notice on procurement has to be published on the official website of procurement in Russia, and it is definitely free of charge for the viewers and for the users. So you can see the address, the web address, www.zakupki.gov.ru. Zakupki in Russian means procurement, so that is why it's Zakupki. So what you can find also there, procurement plan, so approximately for a year, procurement order placement, notices, documentation, protocols, and publication of information on fulfillment of the contract as well. And then there's a register of complaints, and there's also a register of unfair suppliers. So all the information you can find there. For the moment, it is in Russian only, but I think if we have more interest from our foreign partners, we will do it in English as well. So basically, this slide is dedicated to methods of procurement places. So the mostly used procedure is electronic auction. Roughly 70% of Russian procurement goes through electronic auctions. And we believe that this is one of the best procedures. First of all, it delivers very good results. It's both beneficial for procurers and the suppliers, and it opens up the markets for suppliers as well, because it increases the participation of businesses, large businesses and small businesses as well. Then there's a tendering procedure. So this is a type of procurement when several criteria can be used. And then there's a special commission takes a decision on how it is, who is the winner and who the contract will be awarded to. Then there can be a request for quotation. This is a type of the of procurement which is used once, can be used once in a quarter for every procurement entity for a small amount of procurement. It's roughly up to, so you see the figure, and the exchange rate is 50 rubles, 1 pound. So, and the criterion is the price. And there's one clause which is prescribed in the law dedicated to contract with a single supplier. So sometimes it happens when the market is really very narrow and there's just one supplier and we have to justify it. And sometimes, so let's say we announce an auction, electronic auction or a tender, and again, no one comes but for one supplier. Then the contracts will be concluded, so the time will not be wasted, the money will not be wasted on redoing the procedure again. So it's also possible. So if we see on this slide, so since 2011, so the total sum of procurement done is 8.4 trillion rubles. It's really a huge amount. And why the figure is, so while we calculate from 2011, because before that, use of electronic auctions was not compulsory. So you can do it as a preference, or you can do it old-fashioned way, let's say. But since the 1st of January 2011, it became an obligation, and then we can do the full statistics. So the aggregate saving since 2010-2012 is over 236 billion rubles, which is really a huge amount. Again, I will explain about the figures. Why we are saying 2010? Because in 2010, it was recommended to use electronic auctions as the main method of procurement placement. That is why, so we have this figure. So taking into consideration the size of the country and these figures, it's really a good point for using electronic auctions. So in 2006, when the law changes, as I told you, there were approximately 100 websites where the information, the notices were placed. And sometimes it was really very hard for the suppliers, for small businesses, to find where there will be the auction, where it will be held, which room, which floor, who will conduct it, and where and when actually the auction will take place. At the moment, we have a single official website. If the information on the single official website is not published, then the auction cannot take place, or a tender. Any procurement procedure is not legitimate. So, as you can see, for suppliers and for participants, it opens up the whole of the procurement market. So you cannot hide it anywhere. Then, so as for the informational space of procurement in Russia. So as I told you, there's an official website where all the information is displayed. There's an independent registrar which registers all the activities of the electronic platforms and the exchange of information. And this information is stored for, I think, approximately 10 years. Then there are 5 electronic trading platforms which actually perform the electronic procurement. You can ask why 5, why not 1, how it was done. So the answer to the question will be as this. At some point there were many electronic platforms doing that, and it was really quite tough for the regulators to control them, because some of them did not do the fair procedures, someone was disclosing the information to the bidders, and there were possibility of collusions and bid rigging. That is why there was taken a decision by the government to somehow limit the number of the electronic platforms, but somehow to preserve competition between them. Because this is not something rigid. You know that information technology is developing quite fast. And if you want to perform the good operational process, especially in the IT sector, you have to invest a lot of money. And you have somehow to develop regularly. That is why there was a tender, and electronic platforms applied for that. And then there was a decision on the level of the government who will be the operator for the next 5 years. And 5 platforms were chosen. So we're just one of the 5 platforms. And we are doing it on behalf of the government. So we are authorized to do it. Electronic platform performs the function. So we exchange data, we accreditate participants, and the registration. So if you decide someone wants to participate in the electronic auction, what you have to do as a supplier or as a procurement entity, you have to register. For that, you have to acquire a digital signature, because all the exchange of documents is in the electronic form. And you can get it either from one of the specially authorized centers, which are located regionally all over the country, or you can go to the state treasury and get it there. So the platform checks your information and stores all the necessary information about yourself, about the participants. Then we maintain a register of procurement entities. We are responsible for the document turnover, etc., etc. And we really have to invest a lot of money into the security of our system, as we are responsible for the protection of confidentiality first of all, and we have to provide ongoing service all the time. So it cannot stop because auction's running all the time. And you know the Kaspersky laboratory. So this is the antivirus protection. So according to their data, Sberbank is one of the most attacked internet-based resources in Russia, especially DDoS attacks. So they happen, I can't tell you how often, but I can tell you that the provision of uninterrupted service is provided by our platform. So it means that we are quite professional and we do lots of things to do that. So let's move further on. Then operational process of the electronic auction. So one side is the procurement entity, the other side is the participant. So the procurement entity announced the auction. So the notice is published on the official site and on the website of the platform. Actually, the procurement entity can choose where he would go. There are 5 platforms. If you decide to go for electronic auction, pick up any. So the rules are the same. Everything is the same. The difference is the services can be somehow, some services are different, and practically this is your preference, which software you prefer, which layout on the screen you prefer, and which services, additional services to conduct your procurement you need. Then notice is published, and suppliers receive an invitation about the auction, so we can send it through to them and say that, look, there's such an auction, maybe you are interested. Then they, obviously, if they are registered on our platform, then it's quite easy for them because all the information on them is already stored. We know that they are reliable, fair, and all of them are good. Then all the information on the suppliers are sent to the procurement entity, and this is somehow the pre-qualification step. So they check all the compliance with the requirements of the tender, and after that, if the information on them and if they're on their somehow eligibility to participate is all right, they are admitted to participate in the bidding procedure. After that, the actual electronic auction is happening. This is the reverse electronic auction, and the main criteria is the best price. The best price is the lowest price, but the technical specification describes all what you need. For example, if you decide to buy an executive car, it actually doesn't matter whether it's Volkswagen, Audi, or BMW. You just specify what you need, and then it doesn't matter what you get, because all the cars are good. It's just the brand, but you know, the quality is good, and if, let's say, BMW, the same as an Audi, comes much cheaper, why bother? You have the same quality. So after the auction is conducted, the parties sign the contract, and it is done again electronically using the electronic signature, and you are off to fulfill the contract. Yeah. So advantages, as I already told, minimization of collusion and bid rigging, and you probably know that even such a respectable organization as OECD highly recommends to follow the rules on preventing bid rigging and collusion at public procurement. So that is why the bidding application from supply is subdivided into 2 parts. And the first part does not identify the supplier. So the first is hidden under the picture. Sorry. When this procurement entity gets the information, so you can't see who is who. You just see the basic information about the supplier. So Each application is given 6 or 7-digit coded reference, which is seen only by the procurement entity. And the information and identification becomes only available after the bids are done and actually the auction is concluded, not earlier. Then unified conditions for all participants. So we cannot impose somehow any specification or condition to the tender. So there's a restricted list of what you can request from the supplier, and you are just trying to be within the limits. Then registration and incorporation documents of an organization, they are stored at the platform, and they are so for the supplier it's really convenient. You do not have to file these documents every time you are taking part in an auction, because you can simultaneously take part in many auctions. This is your right if you are able to do all this work. Or then this information is released by the platform to the relevant parties automatically. And this is the responsibility of the either participants or procurement parties to have their information up to date. So if there are any changes, you just have to file this information once. Then electronic document turnover. I think right now everyone knows the benefits of it, and it's very convenient, and maybe no one invented anything better right now than this. So I will move on. So the key industry segments. As it was already said in the room, that electronic auctions are very good for basic goods. That is why on the legislative level there was established a list of goods and products which must be procured, must be purchased by the procurement entity through electronic auctions. And so basically this is the products from these sectors. Then let's have a look at some figures. So placement of procurement by industry. So you see the figures for the year 2012-2013, and I had them as of the 15th of March, so they're quite recent. So you can see that most of the part, or maybe most expensive sector is construction works. So number of auctions in this sector and the amount. Again, you just can see it. And you see that number of auctions conducted in every sector is impressive. So you cannot identify a sector where no electronic auctions are conducted. So it covers probably everything. And then we'll see the trend of Russian e-procurement. So the blue is number of bidders. So bidders are marked blue. Red, number of accredited participants or procurers. Number of announced tenders, we see it in green. So why we start from 2010? As I told you, first there was a pilot program. You can use either this or that. And actually, especially the procurement entities, which are the red ones, they didn't want to participate practically at all. You can hardly see them on the screen. Then, January 2011, they were forced to use electronic auctions, and slowly, they started to register. And then, actually, the number of the auctions which are actually performed, they're rocketed. And as you can see even now, so the number of participants basically is the same. The number of suppliers is basically the same. But the number of auctions is growing. So it means that we have customers from both sides purchasing and selling, and we perform lots of auctions. Then, so we have to somehow justify, say that we are good not only for the procurement entities, because for them actually it saves a lot of money on actual tender conduction. You can dedicate just one person who does it electronically. The teaching is provided, so we will show you how to do it. And then you're just doing it, and that's it. But there's a good reason. So the average saving by sector is presented here, and average number of participants as well as presented here. So even in such sectors as equipment, machines, machinery, there at least, so the average number, 2 participants who are competing. And again, so this is the average figures. So sometimes it's the economic effect can be even 20% or even more. So it depends. It depends how the competition is going. This is a screenshot of the electronic auction. So that's what we see. As I told you, the 6-digit number over here. Then you can see how they place the bids, what is the winning bid, and what type of the auction is there. So in Russian it says that this is the reverse auction. And then we can see that starting price was 73 something and the winning bid was 55 something. And this was the auction for cleaning services and the territory of a large factory. So you can see economic effect 25%, number of participants 5. So they were actually quite active in their bidding, and you see the outcome. And another example, it was the auction for the construction, for the capital reconstruction works. So the starting price was 65 something, winning bid 51 something. So you can see. And actually this was the reconstructions of the kindergarten for children. So it means that some extra money maybe will go to some other good causes as well. Then, as you probably remember, there are 5 electronic platforms, and we can show that we are the largest and the biggest because we are reliable, etc., as I told you. And still we have quite a huge competition because one of the platforms represent the government of Moscow, which covers probably the whole Moscow, and Moscow is like a country in itself. Then the other platform is based in the Republic of Tatarstan, which covers Tatarstan and the neighboring areas. And the other 2 platforms belong to the MI6 and RTS. So those are the main traders of the capital stocks, capital shares. They still there, but we are the best.
That's what you're here.
Huh? Yeah. So participation of foreign suppliers, so major issues. So if you heard lots of nice things, how it is easy to do, you have just to follow the rules, as I said, and then all the market is open to you. But unfortunately, not everything is as easy as you come as a foreigner. Because the first step, you have to acquire a digital signature. You can acquire it, but you can't take it abroad, because according to the Russian rules, cryptographic means of coding cannot be taken abroad. Now we are working, not only we, so now we are thinking of ways how to find the way out, but still the question is not answered. So next one, registering on the electronic platform. So registration is possible only by signing the documents with the electronic signature. So if you acquired it, then you have to sit in Russia and or hide it somewhere in Russia. So next step, transfer financial guarantee for participation. So if you ask, what is financial guarantee, you didn't mention anything about it. So the law states that if you decide to participate in a tender, you have as a supplier to put a financial guarantee. This ranges from 5 to 30% of the initial contract. I don't think the reasons for that are obvious, because as a supplier you can submit your offer to, let's say, 10 or 20 different auctions. You'll be the winner in all of them, and then you say, you know, I cannot do all the work. And then it means that many auctions will be ruined, they'll have to be somehow reorganized, and this is the waste of money. Not only, this is good for the platform, because we have customers all the time, but this is waste of time. So that is why the financial guarantee somehow justifies that you are a genuine bidder, that you genuinely want to perform a contract, and this is up to now is the best option, because sometimes even the banker's guarantee cannot guarantee that it is good. If you're putting your own money, then you're responsible for it. You can lose it. And this guarantee is accepted only in rubles. And then if you are a foreigner, you'll transfer, you'll have some additional charges and levies, exchange rates, so it will be money loss. Then submission of bidding application for participation. You have to do it, you have to use the Russian language. That is why you have to have a friend who is a fluent Russian speaker, or you have to learn Russian. So there are two options. Next one, participation in auctions, bidding, and etc. Only possible with the use of electronic signature. So we already discussed that. And contract signing, again, as a foreign supplier, you have to produce the documents, same amount of documents as our domestic supplier, but you have to produce all the apostiles and etc., and all the confirmation. It will probably cause a lot of problem for you as well. But it's not that bad. There's a way out, and I think it is widely used. So if you want to participate, you have to register an affiliated company or subsidiary on the territory of the Russian Federation. Then it means that you'll be treated as a domestic supplier, and all the rules as for the domestic supplier will work for you. Next, you can find the agent. It will be your Russian friend who will do all the work on your behalf, but you have to trust the agent, and the agent have to have the full trust in you, because the agent will conclude the contract on your behalf, and he will be liable for the contract fulfillment. So if you fail him, then he's responsible, and he has to be responsible with his own money. And there's a tiny clause for the suppliers, residents of the Customs Union Agreement, which just recently was adopted. This is the Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Russia. Then, again, it's quite easy for you, because so it works in accordance with this Customs Union Agreement. So it means that you have a subsidiary in Kazakhstan or Belarus. It's much easier for you as well already. But the limits of the, let's say, this electronic platform is not reached, as we know that especially in the time when there's a financial crisis, etc., to stay afloat, we have to diversify and do lots of things. We can do really other good things for commercial suppliers and even for such companies which are called state-owned enterprise, because in Russia there's another law which is called the Federal Law 22.3, and it regulates the procurement process of the state-owned enterprise. enterprises such as, for example, Gazprom, Sberbank. So they also have to apply to it. So basically, the rules are the same as in public procurement, but this has more flexibility because you are still a private company, private commercial company, but you have to follow the rules. So you have to show your planning of procurement, actual conduction, and how you do it on your website, and you have to follow the procedures as well. So for such entities, electronic tendering or electronic trading can offer the following functions, and I would say that the demand for it is really huge. Many companies, many large companies, they are successful users of the electronic trading platforms. They economize lots of money, and they are just bringing benefits to their businesses as well. So benefits of auctions for commercial sector, you can see it there. It helps to economize time, money, resources, and etc., etc. And if there's a large, let's say, supplier, there's a special manager who is dedicated to this company who helps to organize the process as well. So again, it helps large companies to develop their procurement processes and supply chains efficiently and effectively. So basically, that is what I wanted to tell you before many questions, which I would welcome. And if you want some more information, you can email to us. There's no point of giving telephone numbers unless you are Russian speakers, because everything is diverted to the our call center, and over there are not many fluent English speakers. So that is why you'll be puzzled. So if you write to us, we will be happy to answer all the questions. And I would say that we are friends with the regulators as well. So when our government decides to make any new reforms or implement some amendments or changes to the law, they always contact the business and all the people involved in the processes. So this is an open process, and we are working with them as well. So we know how it goes.
Great. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you.